Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope you're having a great day. It is finally warm in Virginia, and I'm excited about the week. We have a lot of great things going on, and I hope that you're going to start off the week as productive as I have already. So, if you haven't joined me before, my name is Drew Demery. I am a business strategy coach. Basically, my job every day, which is awesome, is to help clients better their lives, whether it be in their personal life or their professional life. So the reason for Mindset Monday, as always, is to really just get your mind right and to focus on things that are productive. Good morning. How are ya? Alrighty, so one of the things I wanted to talk about today, which is maybe probably a little odd to some people, is I want to talk about numbers. So of course, we think about numbers in a lot of different contexts, but the context that I want to talk about today is how it impacts your mindset. So let's just talk about where numbers are. Of course, everywhere in our world, there's numbers. So speed limit signs, obviously it's going to tell you how fast or how slow you are. The score of a football game, if you're watching the Vikings game last night, that was a rough number to watch, right? So if you're thinking about numbers, think about this. There's 7 basic musical notes. There's 7 basic colors in the rainbow, right? So numbers always play an important role in the part of our life in a lot of things with mindset. And really, there's even another thing that I really look at with numbers. Numbers play an important role in seeing patterns in our life. For an example, for me, the number 10 is a huge number for me. And the reason why is that is October. And every year, or if anything dramatic in my life happens, whether it's starting a new business, a new huge opportunity that's coming my way, has always been in October. So the reason why I bring that up is when you're looking at your mindset around numbers, look at the patterns in your life. Is there something you're doing consistently that's showing up? It could be things that are showing up that are not necessarily great, too. So make sure that you're really looking at the numbers and focusing on the patterns that you bring in your life because they're telling you a story. I always say numbers don't lie. Numbers really are fact. There's not an emotion built into that. And then we also want to talk about numbers, about some of the things that maybe that create negative mindset. What about our bank account number, right? So we got to be able to just see what the bank account is and see how that works. What about using numbers in measurement? Let's say our weight. Holy moly, right? So if numbers don't lie when you are definitely looking at your weight, right? So it's something that's pretty funny. You get on the scale and you're like, okay, well, that number is a little higher than I thought. Or, wow, look, I lost a couple pounds. Numbers impact us every single day, and I just want you to kind of be aware of that, because as we have this conversation today, I want you to look at numbers differently, and I want you to look at what we need to do to change the mindset around that so it's a positive experience for everybody. Most importantly, for yourself. So the funny thing is that it's really, as a coach, I see all the time that I have a client say, you know what, bring me your goals. So they bring the goals to me and I review that with them. I pretty much do that weekly with every single one of my clients. And a lot of times there's 2 things. They don't have a number goal to it. So they're just like, I'm going to set some appointments. Well, we need to put a number to that, right? So we need to put a number to that so we can set a goal for that number so we can hold you accountable so there's a measurement of that. So let's just say there's 4 appointments. So there is something that changes the tone and the energy just weird when I say, well, let's go on some appointments to, we need to go on 4 appointments this week. Numbers change the mindset. And I think one of the things that you got to think about and remember is numbers obviously is a measurement of success or failure, but it doesn't mean that it has to be. And I will go into that a little bit further. So just make sure you kind of understand that, because I think ultimately when you're looking at numbers, I see 2 kind of faces when I'm coaching someone. I see the paralyzed or the frustrated person where I am not on track for my goal or my number, or they're encouraged or they're determined. They are going to figure it out. Come hell or high water, they're going to figure out a way to hit that number, and it's just the beginning. So there's 2 different mindsets on that, and I want you to think about that. Do you look at the scale and go, and you see that number, and do you see that you're paralyzed, or do you see that as encouragement to go to the gym, to eat healthy, right? If you're on a goal to set a certain number of appointments, then you're halfway through the week and your number isn't even halfway accomplished, does that motivate you or does that discourage you? There is a mindset around that, and those that succeed really work to overcome the mindset of that scarcity of that number. Oh my gosh, I'm already behind, I might as well just give up, right? So the second thing that I hear so often, and I see it, is this challenge with the number that it has to be perfect. So if you set a goal of 4, for whatever units you want to talk about, 4 miles, it could be 4 pounds, it could be 4 appointments. So the number 4, let's just set that number in your head, right? The problem with that number now is that that's your bar of perfection. And perfection leads to procrastination, and then procrastination leads to basically you're paralyzed, right? And so I just want you to kind of think through the numbers, because it's really important to know that we need to set the goal of 4. So you're going to be motivated to kind of push forward. But if you have always accomplished 2, and you actually this week accomplished 3 units, 3 sales, 3 pounds, again, just using a number, isn't that further than you went before? Isn't that more of an accomplishment? Isn't that a task? Isn't that a bar you've basically a standard you've already now erased or now moved the bar forward? So make sure you're using numbers not to perfection, but to performance. Right? Make sure you're using, I'll say it again, your numbers not to perfection, but to performance. It's the activities that matter, right? It's the activities that are generated that are going to get us to the numbers that we need. And if you consistently do that every single day, you'll eventually hit those numbers. So don't let numbers or goals or expectations of those numbers hold you back, because I see that so often we'll set the goal with the number, which is a measurement, which we need to do. That's what we call a SMART goal. It's measurable. But then there's paralysis. Then there's this sense of I have to have everything perfect. I'll tell you, in life, and specifically in business, it's never going to be perfect. And you don't want it to be, because you want to constantly be moving and adapting your systems to perfect and to personify what you're trying to do. And again, perfect is kind of a word I use, that it's a long-time journey. You're never going to reach that, quote, perfection, or what we call mastery, because you're always constantly growing and learning. So I just want you to think about the numbers and as the way it talks about perfection. I also want you to make sure that you focus on the plan and not the problem. That is a huge thing. So the plan, obviously, is to hit the numbers, right? But you've got to focus on that, not on the problem, which is you haven't hit the number yet, right? So make sure you focus on the plan, not the problem. Again, so many times I see that in life, and it's a challenge. In my own life, I do that. I get frustrated with I'm not there yet. All right, probably my number one thing that I really, honestly, I pray about is have no patience. I really want to get to where I want to go right now. And what I need to realize, and what I encourage you to realize, is that number is a journey. It is just a sprint. It's not a marathon. It's one of those things. As you set that number and you go towards that goal, that's something I want you to be proud of and keep putting one step in front of the other, okay? And there's one last thing that I want to kind of chat with you guys about is numbers are really the byproduct of the plan, which we talked about, but we need to exchange the word numbers with money. So let's just say we know that we need to hit a number, a money goal, and we're not there yet. What do we need to do to change that? That's the plan. Does that make sense? So what do we need to do? What activities do we need to do? So if you don't have the bank account that you want right now, you are in complete control of that, right? You can control your expenses and you can control your income by making better choices or getting in an environment where you can be basically fulfilled with abundance. So make sure you're kind of focusing on those things. I also want to talk about something that, if you remember what I was talking about just a few minutes ago, there's 7 basic musical notes, right? And so if you think about those 7 basic music notes, Mozart created some amazing music, right? Everybody listens to the radio or iTunes right now. There's an amazing amount of music right now being produced based on 7 notes. What does that mean, right? Again, it's a number. All right, and then also I mentioned to you there's 7 colors in the rainbow, right? So there's 7 basic colors, And there's Sistine Chapel that has the most beautiful paintings. There's Picasso. There's artwork all over the world that are super expensive because of 7 colors. There's a reason why I bring this up is because I want you to be aware of these numbers, because the basic numbers of 7 with notes, and the basic number of 7 with the rainbow really talks to us about keeping it simple. Keeping it simple. The numbers tell us that there's not 65 colors in the rainbow. There's not 72 different musical notes. There's 7 basic numbers and 7 basic musical notes. The reason why I'm bringing that up is I want you to have clarity that numbers and what the goals we set need to be simple. They need to be attainable, but the process in which we get there need to be simple. So many times I see in my coaching experience with my clients, with myself even, where we set a goal and then they make it way more complicated than it needs to be. Okay, I need to set 4 appointments this week. What do I need to get there? Don't create this elaborate plan. Just go with 2 or 3 steps to get there. Keep it simple. Keep it basic. Keep it to where it's just like the music notes or the painting. It will create this beautiful situation, this beautiful masterpiece if you just focus on something very simple and you're consistently doing it. So make sure you realize that it's not about making things complicated. So when you're looking at your numbers, don't create this crazy plan, right? So just think about it always from a numbers perspective. Some of the most beautiful things are just as simple as just do it. And I think sometimes we try to overcomplicate it. And I think sometimes it's because we think there should be a more complex process. It doesn't have to be complex, right? I also want you to focus on small numbers. To go big, you have to go small. And that's also another concept we talked about all the time, is that we talked about in the last few Mindset Mondays of chunking down your goals. That's again a numbers thing, where we're taking that goal and we're basically simplifying it into a much more smaller, manageable goal that is kind of in bite-sized pieces. So make sure you're focusing on that as you go into this week. Alrighty, so I just want you guys to realize that the final kind of leg of this is to make sure you understand that numbers are a good thing. We need to track things. We need to see growth in ourselves, but don't let numbers paralyze you. And don't let numbers create such a complicated process that you end up doing nothing. Okay? So I want you to realize that as you go into this week, and as always, we always end with a Mindset Monday quote. Mark Twain said, continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. So I'm going to read that one more time. Mark Twain said, continuous improvement is better than delayed perfection. So make sure we're not focusing on the perfection. Make sure we're focusing on the number, and make sure it's creating an abundance mindset where we can keep putting one foot in front of the other, because it's not about really, quote, hitting the goal. It's about going on the journey to arrive there. And once you arrive there, you're going to raise the goal. That's just how life is, which is a great part of why we have entrepreneurs all over the world where they can change their goals, they can increase them, we can modify them, because at the end of the day, it's about numbers. All right? Well, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a productive day. And let's focus on some numbers that you can hit and get some gratitude out of that. All right. Have a great day. Bye, guys.